Every boy who ever wore a dress simply because they wanted to faces that moment when someone, anyone, other than themselves, sees the girl they desperately wanted to be. It happens, getting caught, stumbling with mannerisms, going outside and doing things that lead to accidents. That moment always arrives, and when it does, the fear, shame, and guilt are impossible to ignore. To say they don't exist at that moment is a lie. They're there and need to be faced. Some girls are lucky, managing to hide their desires for years, from all but a select few. This is the story of Morgan, one of the fortunate ones. My mother knew, I think. She had always known, ever since I was old enough to act on it, that I'd been dressing up as a girl. Sometimes I looked good, but more often than not, I just looked like a boy in a dress. Still, each time I wore a skirt or dress, that familiar rush of euphoria would hit me, a combination of calm, fear, guilt, and shame, making me long to be a girl, a real girl. Wishing on a star never made it happen, but my desires never faded. By the time I was 15, I was fully aware of the stigma boys like me faced, yet I couldn't stop. I'd built a small but meaningful wardrobe, several bras, some panties and pantyhose, 4 skirts, a few tops, and 3 dresses, all with the right shoes, of course. I kept everything, including my makeup, stored away in bags in my closet. I suppose I should have known my mother would eventually look, but it didn't occur to me, caught up in my desperate wish to become a girl. I ordered some hormones online, hoping they would have a modest effect on my body. I thought they'd make small changes, more curves, smoother skin, maybe some slight chest growth. It didn't seem like much, but I felt better mentally, knowing I was at least trying. I started taking them as soon as they arrived. Unfortunately, within less than a year, I began to notice changes I never expected. I lost muscle mass, dropped weight, and had no body hair. My skin became soft and smooth. My bust was now in a cup, and my hips began to swell. The changes were obvious, and I couldn't hide them anymore. Baggy sweaters and pants wouldn't work for much longer. Finally, I realized I had no choice but to confide in the one person I was sure knew, my mother. "Mom?" "Yes, dear? I have something to tell you. Please don't be mad." "What is it?" "I have a feminine chest," I blurted out. "And hips. And smooth skin." "What? How is that possible? Boys don't have such a chest." "Let me show you," I said, and quickly undressed. She saw the full extent of the changes. My body now bore the modestly developed but very clear figure of a girl. She stood there, staring at me, mouth open, slowly examining my body as if searching for any sign that I was lying. "Well, I'm sure you have an explanation for this," she finally said, her voice steady. "And I want the truth." That was my moment, the one I'd been dreading, but it had finally come. With a heavy heart, I showed her the bottle of hormones, the purple pills I'd been taking for about a year. She quickly glanced at the label, then took the bottle from me and told me to get dressed. Afterward, she went to the computer. I sat at my desk, reading some fiction when she opened my bedroom door. "Do you understand what you've done?" she asked. I shook my head, though I had a pretty good idea. "These pills aren't the cheap knockoffs from South America like you told me," she continued. "These are pharmaceutical-grade female hormones. Do you understand what that means?" "How long have you been taking them?" "Maybe a little over a year," I replied. "Because according to the internet, these pills are strong enough to push your body into female puberty. That's why you're developing like a girl." It was hard not to grin, and I almost managed to keep it in, but I couldn't. "This isn't funny," she said firmly. "Now, what do we do?" Without thinking, I blurted out, "Let me be the girl I should have been all along." It was bold, but I figured she already knew, so why not say it? She stared at me, stunned, then sighed. "We might not have a choice. Just wait until your father hears about this. This is awful. Why would you do this to yourself? Do you have any idea what this means? I don't think you really understand what it means to be a girl. It's not just about perfume and nice clothes. She was clearly angry, her expression intense. Your father is going to be furious when he finds out. Can I suggest something? I asked. What if you just tell him? That way, he'll get the picture of a guy in a dress. But if he sees Morgan, me, all fixed up, he might see what I look like instead of going crazy with that wrong idea in his head. Mom paused for a moment, then looked at me with a thoughtful expression. Okay, I suppose that's the best approach. It might diffuse his anger a little. But we'll do this my way. Understand? No acting like a little girl. I nodded. No, dear. The only way you'll have a chance to get through this without being sent to your room for life is if we make sure you look like the most feminine 15-year-old girl possible. Tomorrow morning, early, we'll see what we can do. I'll make sure you look nice because I agree with you, this might be your only protection. I won't let him hurt you, but he isn't going to be happy at all. Looking nice might be your only option for now. Keep quiet. Understand? That was the beginning of one of the biggest steps in my journey, the one where I would have to face my father. He was a strong, masculine man, tall and imposing. He would decide my fate. Death likely wasn't on the table, but there was no telling what he might do. I could only hope that, when he saw me, he would see a girl, not the son he'd raised, standing there in a dress. At first, I'd be embarrassed to go out. I'd pick something, like a bra, then quickly pay and leave, my face red. I always felt like they knew. At least, I thought they did. I didn't realize they couldn't have cared less. Over time, I started being more intentional, buying things that fit instead of grabbing random items. That's when I learned my sizes, a 34A bra and a size 10 dress. Even knowing my sizes, it was still hard to face the fact that Mom knew. But, after some hesitation, I let her measure me herself. That was stressful. Mom wasn't happy to see I was developing like a girl, but she didn't hide her displeasure. At the same time, she made it clear she would help me. What exactly that help meant was unclear, but I bravely listened as she began with a deep sigh. It's clear you've started to develop, and I'd bet your bust will keep growing soon enough. When I was 16, I had a full B cup, and you're close to that. As for your hips, though not fully developed yet, they'll likely fill out pretty fast too. That means we still have some time, but not much, to make you presentable enough for your father to understand what's happening before you undergo any more changes. Presentable, huh? I asked, a bit unsure. Okay, Mom, I'm sure you think so, I replied. I certainly hope so. But I'll be the one to judge. Why don't you go ahead and get dressed up? I'll be on the patio when you're ready. Just walk out and show me, and we'll see if you look as good as you think you do. Besides, I want to see this girl in all her glory, the one you've been trying to hide all this time. Mom left me standing there, alone in my room, burdened with the task of getting all dressed up, as she put it. It was the one thing I had always dreamed of doing, yet I stood there, frozen, struggling to gather the courage to do the one thing I wanted most. Finally, I stepped into the bathroom and began getting ready. As I rubbed in the lotion and prepped for some taping, an unwanted thought crept into my mind: hot pants. I had them, and I knew how they made me look. But I quickly dismissed the fantasy, common sense took over, and I set that thought aside, deciding it could wait for later, much later, if I survived this first. After some indecision, I chose a pale green sundress, paired with my low white heels and white jewelry. Once my parts were taped securely in place, I dressed, the new bra pushing my budding chest up and out, giving just a hint of cleavage. I grinned at the sight. I pulled on the pantyhose and began my makeup. My smooth, hairless face made it easy, just a bit of foundation, pale eyeshadow and eyeliner, some blusher, and then I brushed out my hair. My white barrette helped pull my hair back on the left side. With everything in place, I slipped the dress over my head and zipped it up. The snug bodice against my skin was reassuring, and the square-cut neckline exposed just a little bit of my chest. I added lipstick and some perfume, then stepped into my heels. I faced the door, quickly opening it before I lost my nerve. Once I took that first step, there was no turning back. Holding my head high, I boldly walked through the house and out to the patio where Mom was waiting. The sound of my heels on the floor made her look up, and I saw the smallest hint of shock on her face, which soon softened. "Well?" I asked, smiling. "You look very nice, honey. Better than I expected. Come, let me have a look at you." With Glenn Miller playing softly in the background, Mom inspected me, taking in my hair, makeup, and how the clothes fit. Then, she gestured for me to sit in a chair. "You're quite lovely," she admitted. "I honestly expected you'd look nice, but anyway, let's talk about your father and how you plan on telling him." "I wasn't planning on telling him, not until this happened, anyway," I said. "But if I don't, he'll figure it out on his own. Everyone else will too, especially if you're right and I start getting bigger. I was thinking maybe we should do it right after he gets home from work, before dinner. You can wear that skirt and sweater of mine in the school colors, they're just loose enough. After that, you can change into this outfit. It'll grab his attention, and he won't have much room to fuss. He won't like it, but after he sees you in this dress, he'll have to accept it." "If I'm still alive," I murmured. "He won't hurt you," she reassured me. "But there's no doubt that you'll have to look your very best if you want any chance of convincing him to accept this. And while I'm not thrilled about this, given what I've found out, I don't see that I have any choice but to help you. You're going to develop the body of a teenage girl, no matter what anyone does. So I think the best thing we can do is take you to the salon. They can cut and style your hair to make it easier to manage, and we might also look into fixing your nails. Your makeup is fine." "How does that sound?" "I'd rather wear my sheath dress when he sees me, Mom," I said. "Anything loose like that will just hide the changes. Besides, it's in the school colors too." "Okay, wear that if you like. Right now, I'm going to call the doctor to see if he confirms my suspicions." While she made the call, I went to my room and began pulling my clothes out of the bags, hanging them in the closet, no more hiding them. I changed into my hot pants to see how they looked again. I tied the blouse just under my bra and took out the barrette, using bright red lipstick. Just then, Mom walked into my room. "Well, that's an interesting look. Turn around and let me see." I turned, and she added, "I'm sure you think that's fun, but you'll need to change. The doctor wants to see you. He says if you've been taking these hormones for over a year, it's unlikely he can reverse the effects." When I told him you don't have to shave, he almost confirmed it. "We'll see him tomorrow. For now, change into your normal clothes. Your dad will be home soon." I quickly changed and showered. By the time Dad got home, it felt like sitting on a razor's edge all evening. I was sure he could pick up the vibes I was giving off, but he just went about his usual routine, showing no sign that he had noticed anything strange. By the time I went to bed, I was a wreck. The next morning, Mom woke me up early and reminded me to wear a skirt. So once again, I became Morgan. I wore a short tan and white pleated skirt with a white blouse and a Peter Pan collar that highlighted my chest, along with low white heels. After finishing my hair and makeup, I joined Mom in the kitchen. She didn't mention my skirt, just offering a few words after breakfast. After that, it was off to see the doctor. I had a complete physical, and the doctor spoke seriously. "There's no doubt now. Even with the best male hormones, I seriously doubt I can turn her back into a boy. She hasn't shown any signs of male puberty. Her male parts have not descended, and she's already developing as a typical girl. The only thing I can do is help her with this transition. She'll still need to take hormones, but under my supervision." Mom and I left the office, and she was very quiet. I knew she was angry with me, so I sat in silence too. On our way home, I watched as she headed straight for the salon. "I hadn't thought we'd go today, but we might as well get this over with," she said. "Since it looks like you'll be a girl from now on. Tonight has to be the night we tell your father. Like you said, your best chance of safety is if you look perfect." I imagine it will take a few hours, so I'll drop you off and go talk to him. He has to know you have something important to tell him. I won't tell him what, but he has a right to know. After 3 hours of being waxed, pierced, cut, trimmed, dyed, and getting new nails and makeup, I looked nothing like myself. I looked better than I ever had. Just then, Mom came in, took one look at me, and smiled at me for the first time since this all began. After paying the bill, we headed home. She told me to change, and I went to my room to prepare for my debut. Just as I started undressing, Mom walked in. I bought these for you. You might as well use them now so he won't have to witness your bust getting bigger. And wear this dress, she said, placing the bags on the bed before leaving the room. In one bag was a black dress, short, about 3 inches above my knees, with thin spaghetti straps. It was a sheath style. In the other bag was a new bra in my chest size, a B cup, with gel pads to help fill it out. I started with a long soak in a bubble bath, followed by skin lotion. After that, I put on my panties, and the bra fit just a little better. With the gel pads, I had nice, real-looking cleavage. The pantyhose came next, then the dress. Finally, I put on my only black high heels, added perfume, a gold necklace, and my gold bracelet. After applying lipstick, I went to Mom for approval, if that was possible. You look fine, she said, then told me to stay in my room until she called for me. I heard Dad's car pulling into the driveway and quickly went to my room. I could hear them talking, and soon after, Mom came to get me. Just walk out like it's perfectly normal and stand by the doorway until I say otherwise, she instructed. I did as she told me, and I heard her tell Dad that I had something to tell him. Then she motioned for me to walk in front of him. My knees felt weak, my throat dry, and my stomach churned as I struggled to make my feet move. Mom signaled again, and I slowly walked around until I stood face to face with my father. His eyes widened as they traveled from my hair to my toes, pausing as he took in my real cleavage. My legs were long and shapely, my hands graceful with slightly tapered light red nails, and a small gold ring glinted on my left hand. It took everything I had to stay silent, but Mom had told me not to speak until she said so. Dad was the first to break the silence. What is this? A costume? Is there a party? No, dear. It's not a costume, Mom replied. Morgan started developing as a girl about a year ago, and she finally told me. We saw the doctor today, and he confirmed what I suspected. Morgan has developed so much that she can't go back to being a boy. Honey, there's no way she can go back. What you see is all hers, no padding at all. It's all real, and trust me, I've seen her unclothed, so I know what I'm talking about. Dad looked stunned, trying to process it all. So, you're telling me our son has turned into a girl? That's impossible. It's the hormones, honey, Mom explained. Some kids just have more of one hormone than the other, and Morgan has plenty of female hormones, which is why she's developed into a girl. Other than her male part, she's all girl. And I've seen her, so I know for sure. She paused for a moment and then added, now that you've seen her and I've explained everything, let's not focus on what we can't change. Let's focus on adapting to having a daughter instead of a son. Can you do that? Dad was silent for a moment before turning to me. A daughter? A girl? He looked at me, his voice steady but filled with disbelief. What about Jason? I shrugged, unsure of how to respond. I suppose you like this being a girl thing? Dad asked. I thought you were more of a boy. Yeah, Dad, I answered. Being a girl isn't bad at all. Dad's expression hardened. I can turn you back into a boy, he said. I'll have a doctor cut those things off and stop this. Mom almost shouted, Morgan is here to stay, and that's final. She and I aren't asking for your permission, we're telling you the facts. Hormones made our son develop like a girl, and now we have a daughter, like it or not. I don't like it, not one bit, Dad replied. I still like everything I did before, I said. So, what's the problem? We can still do things together like we always have. My son in a dress? Dad responded. Should I have her undressed to convince you she's not a boy anymore? No, Dad said sharply, I don't think I want to see that. Then you agree she's a girl? I'll take your word for it, Beth. I certainly don't want to see that. The doctor says there's no going back. She's too far along for that. Dad stood up. I'm going outside for a minute. Mom said firmly, we're going to dinner at the country club. Dad hesitated. No, we're not. Oh yes, we are, Mom responded. 20 minutes later, we were all stuck, Dad still angry, confused, and trying to process my transformation, and me, about to walk into the one place where everyone knew us, dressed as a girl. In the back of my mind, I had known this day would come, but I didn't expect Mom to throw me into the deep end like this. She grinned at me before heading to change, and that's when I realized it was a test. She wanted to see if I could pass as a girl. I had no choice but to try. By the time Dad returned, we were ready. He had that sour look on his face, but he grabbed his jacket and drove us to the country club. Mom linked her arm with his, and I took his other arm as we walked inside. He wasn't about to make a scene, and we walked in just like always. Howard, the host, seated us at our table, and all I got from him was a smile. We ordered dinner, ate, and stayed to listen to the band. Mom and Dad danced while I stayed at the table. Then, I saw James walking toward me. We played golf together occasionally. He asked me to dance, and rather than sit there awkwardly, I got up. Mom had wanted to test me, and I was determined to pass. You look real nice, better than I thought, James said. You knew? Yeah, we all did. There was just something about you. Once in a while, I'd see what looked like chest, and your butt, well, it looked like my sister's. So yeah, I had an idea. Then why ask me to dance? Just to make sure. He smiled. What do I call you? Morgan, I said softly. Want to play tomorrow? Sure, what time? 10 a.m. I'll pick you up at 8:30. Okay, I said, still not sure why James was so accepting. We finished the dance and walked back to the table. James then asked Dad if it was okay for me to play golf with him the next day. Dad looked confused but nodded. I suppose that will be okay, but she already knows, sir. James walked away, leaving me still wondering how he knew. I thought I'd been careful to hide everything. Dad looked baffled, and Mom acted as though she had expected this to happen all along. Later that night, Mom gave me one of her skirts to wear. It was a pair of shorts with what looked like a skirt over them, bright, vivid green. The next morning, I wore the skirt with a thin, sleeveless white top that exposed my bra straps. It was cooler than the heavy shirts I'd had to wear before. I put my hair in a ponytail, added some lipstick, and went to grab my clubs. Dad was in the kitchen. You got any money? He asked. Here, he said, handing me a $50. You might want to have a little bet, probably, like we always do. You could always kick his ass on the course, Morgan. And that bra shouldn't change anything. He can't chip for nothing, should beat him by at least 4. Take him for $20. He'll think he can beat a girl, but you're not quite a girl yet. So, I know you can do it. Thanks, Dad, I said, taking the $50. But I'll make him buy lunch too. Play well, he said as I left. When James asked if I wanted to play from the forward tees, I almost hit him. I insisted we play from the blue tees like always. His pride was suddenly on the line. Despite knowing better, all he saw was a girl standing there, and there was no way he was going to let a girl beat him. When he agreed, I knew I had him. His second shots were going to be tougher while mine, because I could always outdrive him, would be in my comfort zone. By the end of 9 holes, he was down by 6 and clearly getting frustrated. In the end, I beat him by 10 strokes, $20, and lunch. I stopped to use the ladies' room, then joined him at the table. You haven't lost your touch, that's for sure. That's $20 you owe me, I said with a smile, leaning my elbows on the table. Yeah, here, James replied. You play pretty well for a girl. I do a lot of things as well as any girl. Is that right? Like what? Oh, hair, makeup, and other things. I don't think I want to know, not just yet anyway, but I can imagine. After lunch, James took me home, and I was once again in my small haven, my bedroom. I took a shower and dressed in my own shorts and a plain tee, letting my hair hang loose. I headed to the kitchen for a soda and was sitting on the patio when Dad walked out. Beat him easy, huh? By 10? That was an easy $20, plus lunch. I see that you and your mother weren't kidding. You do have chest. I froze for a second. Yikes, no bra, I murmured. Dad said softly, I called the doctor. He confirmed you have an abundance of female hormones in your system. He also told me you took them yourself. Care to tell me why you did that? There's no real advantage to being a girl, you know. There it was, the moment of truth. I've always felt like a girl, Dad. As far back as I can remember. I didn't have a choice. I just had to be a girl. I never thought about what girls do or don't do. I just had to be one. Well, according to the doctor, your mother was right. We don't have any choice now. Your body's changed too much to alter things, which means, like us, you don't have a choice either. But that doesn't seem to bother you. You do understand you'll have to finish school as a girl? What do you think the other kids will say when they see you? Well, hopefully they'll think I'm cute, a real girl, and leave me alone. Your mother says you're taping yourself down. That can't be very comfortable. And the other girls will certainly notice. That means they won't think you're a real girl, right? I hesitated, then said, well, there's a panty. What kind of panty? A panty that makes a guy look like a girl. They make them to fit your exact skin color, and you glue it on, so you'll look and probably function just like any other girl. I nodded, acknowledging his words. You know, I'm really angry that you did this to yourself. But I can't let you put yourself in danger just because of a dumb decision, he said, his tone controlled. How much was it? About $500, maybe more? I'm not sure. I'll need to email them and find out. I'll do that, he added. Now, go get properly dressed. I don't ever want to see you not dressed properly again. Understand? Yes, sir, I said, quickly heading to my room. Although my father wasn't yelling or losing his temper, I could tell he was as angry as could be. His calm demeanor was just a cover for the intense anger I knew he was holding back. He was accepting it, seemingly easy, but I knew better. His calmness didn't reflect how deeply he understood the situation, perhaps even better than I did. And in my heart, I knew he was about to make my life as feminine as possible. The fact that he took the time to check out the panty was a sign of progress, but it also carried uncertainty. The company that made them offered various versions, from a basic type to a full one where you could have periods and engage in sex. While I had thought about those things, my goal was simply to be passable enough to graduate without drawing too much attention. The medium-grade version would work well for that. Every day after that, Mom put me through drills, how to walk, sit, stand, aiming to make me present myself as feminine as possible. The lack of upper body muscle, just like an average girl, made it easier for me to pull my elbows in, for example. The days seemed to drag on endlessly. Then, I was fitted for that panty. While my father had arranged it, it was Mom and I who went for the fitting. During that appointment, I learned it was the best available. The moment of truth didn't come all at once, but rather in stages, as the reality of my actions became more evident. With the panty, I could stand bare among other girls and not be seen as different. But even then, I felt nervous, awkward around them. Things only worsened when the boys started noticing me. And, of course, there was the ongoing struggle to fit in at home. The only real moment of truth was when I accepted that I should have always been a girl and acted on it. The rest, the reactions from others, my acceptance of the new situation, and the challenges we faced, was secondary. I am a girl in every way now. I understand what my father meant when he said there was no advantage to being a girl, and I've come to accept the limitations that come with it. In fact, I now find myself embracing them. The true moment of truth is when we admit that we are different and choose to do something about it. If you appreciated this story and wish to show your support, please consider leaving a like and subscribing to my channel.